Welcome to our webinar preview. This is a preview of our webinar Success with Teams. It's about structure. And what the webinar is really about here is how to do a proactive design with MS Teams and integrating it with SharePoint and other Office 365 services so that you provide your employees and users with a digital workplace that is well structured, integrated, and applied to your organization correctly. Now, the reality of Office 365 is that what Microsoft really delivers is a great platform with many different services, but they deliver it in parts and pieces. There's SharePoint, there's groups, Office 365 groups, there's Yammer, there's Teams, and there's a lot of confusion out there about what to do about it. And we're seeing in a lot of our customers, and we have over 1,000 customers around the world that we've helped provide a digital workplace or transform Office 365 into a digital workplace. And one of the things we're finding in organizations that are new to Office 365 or haven't really stepped back and done a digital workplace architecture is that what they do is they tend to implement a SharePoint site, maybe a communication site, which becomes your homepage, which that's great. That provides a kind of central place for your organization to communicate. Then they start using Teams. And in fact, sometimes they just turn on Teams and let their business users create any teams that they want. And what happens is they get many, many teams. And in fact, we've had a couple of customers that have more teams than employees out there. And the thing that people don't realize is that as you get a plethora of teams, you're not just creating teams for collaboration and chat, but every team is creating a file structure out there where files are kept. And all of a sudden behind that is a SharePoint group site, which is behind every single team. And the other thing is you start to lose governance of that. And all of a sudden, too, every team, by the way, creates a exchange group, which creates a exchange mailbox. And after a while, everything's all over the place. And what you've got is not cloud workplace implemented. You've just implemented cloud chaos. So what this webinar is all about is how to avoid that. And the first thing we do is we go into what is Microsoft Teams. Now, a team is not just a team. There's actually several levels of teams. And those levels should be applied to different situations in your organization. So the second part of this is not just an education on what is Microsoft Teams, and we're not going to go, into deep detail on it, but we're going to actually tell you some things that you need to know. But the next step is how do you apply Teams to your organization? There's actually different types of groups or teams in your organization. There are static functional teams, such as departments and divisions and groups like that. You might have operational teams for project teams or clients. And then there's also ad hoc teams that just want to get together and communicate. It may be a competitive analysis team in sales that's created for a month or two for a certain competitor. It could be just a team that talks about things. And so there's many different levels of teams in your organization. We'll take a look at and discuss that. Then third, how do you apply MS Teams to these different groups? And we'll show you how to set up teams that actually can leverage Office 365 other services such as SharePoint, because SharePoint is behind every team, that in a way that avoids having kind of the chaos of multiple file structures based on that. Where to use channels, where to use SharePoint sites, and how does it integrate with your intranet as well. And then let's talk about projects. Where should you use Teams when doing projects? And the ability to bring people together in projects in a way that is the most productive. And then finally, how do you control and set up an ad hoc teams type of things? To have actually people request teams and make sure that they actually should create a team instead of something like just a planner thing or a channel within a department. All of this is really important to really prevent the sprawl of teams all over the place. And really what's happening here is we're trying to make it so that you can avoid chaos by planning ahead with teams. That's what this whole webinar is about. It's about an hour long. but I suggest it is well worth your time to understand this. We're not going to go into deep detail about how Teams works at the feature level, but this is more of how to create a collaborative architecture in your organization that avoids the cloud workplace chaos. So it will actually help you to start to evolve to an overall digital workplace architecture that includes Teams, SharePoint, and other services with Office 365. Take the time to watch this webinar. I think you'll find it is very useful and important.